Sarah, and welcome to your first lesson in learning to crochet. In your supply bag, you've been given 5 balls of yarn. 4 of them are colored, and they're going to be used to make your coasters. But the 5th cream ball of yarn is just for you to practice with. You can practice and practice and then unravel it, and practice and practice and unravel until your stitches are looking good enough to start your coasters. For this lesson, we're only going to be using our practice yarn. So pick it up and let's get started. The first step in any crochet project is a slip knot. So to make a slip knot, you're going to drape the yarn over your hand and leaving about a 6-inch tail. This is referred to as the tail, and the part of the yarn that's still connected to the ball is referred to as the working yarn. So holding the tail in place with your thumb, you're going to wrap the yarn around your index finger with the working yarn on top and pointing backwards. Then tilt your finger towards yourself. Gently lift the front loop up and over the back loop, and then grab the new front loop and pull until it comes off the finger, and keep pulling until it's tight. Now you have a slip knot. You can put your hook in the hole and pull, and you're ready to go. Now it's called a slip knot because if you pull, it'll slip free. But don't worry, once you crochet, it'll hold tight once you have it going. So I'll show you again. Leaving about a 6-inch tail, you're going to wrap the yarn around your index finger in an X. Tilt your finger towards you. Lift the front loop up and over the back loop. Grab the new front loop and pull until it tightens. Slip your crochet hook in and then pull on the yarn. And you want to pull on the working yarn, not on the tail. There we go. So now that our hook and yarn are ready to go, let's talk about how we hold the hook and yarn. Your dominant hand is going to be holding the hook, and your non-dominant hand is going to be holding the yarn. So because I'm right-handed, my right hand is holding the hook and my left hand is going to hold the yarn. So the key to holding your yarn is all about flow. I wrap the yarn over my pinky, under my ring and middle fingers, and then over my index finger. You see, it just flows through. A lot of crochet is managing tension, which is basically just how tight or loose your stitches are, and making sure they're the same size and height, each of them. So I'll show you again. Over my pinky, under my ring and middle fingers, and then over my index finger. Now there's some variations to this. Some people wrap it once around their pinky before pulling it up and over the index finger. Around the pinky and then up and over. Some people just wrap it a couple of times around their index finger. As you can see, this isn't really flowing well for me, so I do it the other way. I recommend trying a couple of different ways because different people have different hands, so what works for me might not work for you. For your hook, there are 2 main methods, and they're pretty much exactly as they sound in the pencil method and the knife method. In the knife method, your hand is over the handle and your thumb and index finger are on the shaft. I'll show you it in action. Here we go, crocheting. There. In the pencil method, your hand is underneath the handle with your index finger on top and your thumb and middle fingers on the sides. So let me show you. Go. As you can see, I'm struggling a bit because this isn't the hold that I usually use. In the pencil method, most of the manipulation is in your fingers. And with the knife method, most of the movement is in the wrist. Right? And since the pencil method is a bit awkward and painful for me, this is how I hold my hook. Now you can try both ways, but be warned, either way is gonna feel awkward at first because your muscles aren't used to moving that way. But if you pick one and then keep going, the more you practice, the more natural it'll feel until you don't notice any twinges or anything. So let's learn the chain stitch so that you can get practicing. This right here is a chain, and each of these V's here is a chain stitch. Chains and chain stitches are the building blocks for every crochet project, and they're very simple. So make a slip knot, put your crochet hook in the loop and pull. Now when you tighten it on the crochet hook, you don't want to pull it too tight, and you want to make sure that it's on the shaft, because the shaft, as if you'll remember from the last video, is the size of the hook. And if you pull it back here or down here even, it might end up too tight and your hook won't be able to travel through it. Okay. To make a chain stitch, all you have to do is just yarn over, catch the yarn in the groove, and then pull through and up a loop. Yarn over is a phrase that you'll hear over and over, and it just means to wrap the yarn over the hook, like so. So I'll show you again. Yarn over, pull through and up a loop. Yarn over, pull through and up a loop. Yarn over, pull up a loop. Now as you keep pulling up loops, move your fingers on the left hand up to the next stitch that you've just finished. This will keep moving up. This will keep the chain from twisting, and if you try and do it without moving your fingers up, it just, the longer it goes, it just gets hard and complicated and twisted. See, I lost my yarn there. And again, when you're pulling up the loop onto your hook, make sure to slide it up to the shaft. This will keep your stitches consistent in size, right? So just keep chaining. Get familiar with handling the hook and the yarn and keeping an even tension. A common mistake that beginners make when they're first starting out is they pull tight with their yarn hand. So see here, they pull back on the finger and they can barely get the hook through. They're pulling on it with that hand, and oftentimes they're not even realizing that they're doing it, right? And then as they get to be more familiar, they loosen up a bit, and as a result, you can see here, these stitches, 3 stitches, is shorter than 3 stitches up here. 3, 3, 3, and 3. Another thing that beginners do is they pull up with their hook as they're pulling through. So like this, they pull up and through, and then pull up, well, I can't do it, up and through, up and through, and you can end up with loose, sort of scraggly looking stitches. So just keep chaining, keep practicing until you can make your stitches the same every time. And then once you feel good about that, we can try slip stitching. The slip stitch is a precursor to every other crochet stitch, which is why we're practicing it now. To start, you want to turn the chain flat so that the V's are facing down. And if you'll notice, there are ridges on the back, little bumps. Each of these bumps is 1 stitch, just like each V is 1 stitch, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to push the point of the loop through the 2nd stitch from the hook, okay? You're not going to go into this one right here because it's way too hard. It can't even really be done. But this one, not this one, this one. You're going to push the point of the hook through, yarn over, and pull up a loop. And now you have 2 loops on your hook. The last step is to pull this new loop through the old one, and now you have just 1 loop on your hook, and this V right here is a slip stitch. I'll show you again. Push the point of your hook through the next ridge, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull the new loop through the old one. Just keep going through the ridge, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through. Now, crocheting into the ridge is always more difficult than crocheting into an actual stitch. So if you're struggling a bit to get your crochet hook through and around, then don't worry, it happens to everybody. And it will get easier, I promise. So now that you've learned the chain stitch and the slip stitch, I want you to just keep practicing. Just chain, 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 and slip, 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 and if you run out of yarn, then unravel it and start over until your hands start to feel more relaxed and you're feeling comfortable about moving your hook around and going into a stitch and pulling up loops. And next time, I'm going to teach you how to single crochet, and we'll make our first coaster. See you there!
Okay, we're going now, but take your time.
Okay. You can pick up the yarn, the colored yarn, and make your first coat. Nope. And cut.